In this video, I'll show you how to get started with texture painting as a complete beginner in Blender. I've created a free model for you guys to download so you can follow along with this video. It's available on my Patreon for free with the link in the description down below. Alright, so if you open this up, you will see one of my favorite game assets ever, and that's the Master Sword from my favorite game, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. It's a very low poly model, contains only about 600 vert, and it's perfect for creating a texture paint material. Now, before we can get started, we need to do two things. First of all, we need to create a UV map, and second of all, we need to create a blank canvas for us to paint on. So let's hop on over to the UV editing workspace and let's get started on creating our UV map. Now, on the right side here, you will see our model, which we are now in edit mode of, and on the left side here, you will see our UV map, which is now a mess because it's not unwrapped yet. So we need to unwrap the model here. Now, there's two ways we can go about this. The first way is to do everything manually, and you would do this by maybe going into edge select, selecting edges on this model, then hitting Control E, marking them as a seam, selecting everything, hitting U, and unwrapping it. Now, this will unwrap the model based on the cuts, which are the seams that you specified on the model. It does a decent job with only one seam. Important to note in this case is that on this side, we can actually check how our UVs are looking. If we go up here and we click on this drop down and we enable display stretch, it will show the stretch for our UVs. Now, dark blue basically means no stretching at all. Green or red, depending on wherever you take this, the further you stretch it, the redder it will become, basically means stretching. So you want everything to be as blue as possible. Now you can see there's a lot of stretching going on, and that's because we haven't properly unwrapped it. Like I said, the most manual way, but also the way with the most control, is to go ahead and add in seams everywhere on this model, but it might be a little bit tedious, and in this case we have a pretty simple model and it won't be necessary for us to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the seam, so hit Control E, clear seam, and I'm going to hit U again and choose Smart UV Project. Now this is a built-in unwrap function for Blender, which automatically does a lot of the work for you. Now there's two settings that we need to change in here, which are the island margin and the area weight. The island margin is the area between islands. Now an island is basically one of these sets of linked UVs. So our blade here is a island, or our guard is an island. These are almost touching everywhere, and that's not something that we want, because when we are texture painting, we don't want these to overlap at all, so we don't get any bleed going on between our objects here. So what we need to do is we need to increase this island margin to create some space between all of these islands. So I'm going to set it to 0.05. And finally, we have this area weight here. Now hover over it and I'll give you this tooltip to show you what it does. Basically, it respects the larger areas of your model. So in this case, we have this blade here, we have the guard there. These are large areas and they will need more texture detail to get a proper look. And that's why they should be bigger within our UV map. So if we increase this value, it will respect these face areas a little bit more and make them larger within our final UV map. So I'm going to set this to 0.1. I'm just going to hit OK. We have a complete unwrap now, and this looks perfectly fine for this model. It's not perfect in any sense, but yeah, it could be better, but does it need to be? No, this is good enough. All right, so with our UV map out of the way, let's hop on over to the next workspace, which is texture painting. This exists out of two windows. On the left side, we have our UVs again, and on the right side, we have our model in a 3D texture paint workspace, which is now completely pink, basically meaning we are lacking a texture, just like it would be pink if you added in an image texture in the regular shader nodes, but didn't provide an actual image there. So before we start creating a canvas or basically a material, I'm going to change the viewport shading here, which is now set to studio shading, which gets you all of these shadows and stuff. But I want it to be flat because there's no additional lighting messing up how things look. So this will be an exact representation of our texture paint material. All right, so next up, what we need to do is we need to create an actual material to work with. So on this right side here, we have all of our active tool settings. Now we are going to go here to no textures and click on the plus icon to add in a new texture. In this case, I'm going to add in a base color texture because that's all I'm going to use for this model. But you could go ahead and add in a metallic, roughness, bump, displacement, anything you want to create a hand-painted PBR texture, so physically based rendering texture as well. Now in this case, I'm going for a style stylized look, so just using a base color only is perfectly fine. Now I'm going to increase the size to be 2K, which in texture land is 2048 by 2048. You could go up to 4K, which is 4096, but it might be a little bit overkill for this type of model. 2K is probably even overkill. And we are going to disable this alpha here and give it a color that you want. In this case, the default fill color, which is a light gray, is perfectly fine. So let's hit OK. Now you will see that we now have an active texture to actually paint on, master sort low poly base color. And if we just take a color here and we draw, voila, we can now draw on our object here. When you do this, these edges are not getting painted on. And that's because these edges are too sharp. And the way this brush works is that wherever you are viewing this object from, it will look at that object and define angles of certain faces. If they are too sharp, it won't let you draw on them. Now that's a bad thing because this low poly model has a lot of sharp edges. So I'm going to go down here into fall off and let's disable this normal fall off function. Now if we draw, you can see we can perfectly fine draw anywhere on our sword model here. Now on the left side, we still only see our UVs and we don't see any of this actual texture. And that's because we haven't selected it, if you will. So if we go up here and click on the image icon there, we can actually select our texture and it will now be visible as well here. And we can actually draw on this side as well. So I can just draw here and it will reflect that on this object over here. It works. However, if faces are unlinked, for example, the face on this side, which is this face over here, has been cut away using the Smart UV Project tool. So it's usually a little bit better to actually draw in here, but sometimes you could manually add in stuff on the left side as well. It's nice to have a representation of how things look on the left side here. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is how to use all of these tools. So like I showed you before, we have the texture draw, which is just drawing on your object. Now we can increase and decrease the brush size by hitting F, moving our mouse until we get the desired brush size and just clicking, and we can now draw in a smaller fashion, something like that. Now there's also a strength value, which is up here, and we can actually change this one with Shift F. The strength is 1 or strength is lower, and whatever you set it to, you can change it over here and change it back just like you changed the actual radius of the brush. The final thing that's very handy to know is that if you press S, you will get a color picker tool. By just hitting S, hovering over something and then letting go of S, it will change it to this color. So you can now draw in a different color, for example, this one. So those are the 3 functions that you should know for every brush within our texture painting workspace. Now we have different types of brushes here. We also have this soften brush. Over here we have quite a crisp line, and if we want to soften this up, we can actually use the soften brush and just drag it over and it will sort of blur it out. It's a very handy tool and you will use it a lot for softening pen strokes that are easily visible to the eye, making it look too unnaturally hand drawn. Then we have the smear tool. This is basically smearing colors about, so you can actually smear things across each other like this. You will use this a lot to blend in colors. It's now a bit strong, but if you set the strength down lower, you can make the effect a little bit less drastic and you get nice smeary stripes across your object, perfect for creating that hand painted look. Then we have the clone stamp tool, and what this does is it will let us define an area which we can use to copy. So over here, if I control click on this line, it will take this area as the clone stamp and I can just draw in a new one anywhere where I want, basically copying this entire thing. Then we have the paint bucket tool, which is actually very, very simple. It's select any color, click on the object, and it will just fill the entire object. Now, pretty simple stuff. There's one thing though that you need to change before continuing with this, and that's the actual bleed. So over here we have our UV line, and this is a bleed value. Now it's currently set to 2 pixels, which is the default value. And if we go over here down into options, you will see it's 2 pixels, like I said, but this needs to be bigger. This needs to be 16 pixels, which is the default bleed value for a 2K texture. It's pretty crucial that you do this because you want these to have a nice overlap. So now let me just take a regular gray color, which we'll use for the actual blade, something like that. And if I click it now, you will see we have lots more bleed going on over here, which is good so we don't get any strange overlap going on. Now the final tool over here is called the mask tool. Personally, I don't really use that a lot. I just use this tool up here. So if we tap into edit mode, we go back into edit mode, obviously. We can select certain parts of our model. So if I go into face select, and for example, I want to change the color of this bottom part of our blade here, I can just hover over certain objects and hit L. Now these are all separate objects that I combined using Control J to merge them together, and that's why I can still select each of these linked objects. But if you have an object which consists out of just one part, it will just select the entire part. Instead though, you could add seams and make sure it selects by seam so you can still select certain parts of it. In this case, if you follow along with this tutorial, you can perfectly fine select any part of this object. So I'm going to select all of the parts that I want to change in color, which are all of these, and I want to make them blue. Now when doing texture painting, I recommend always using reference. And in this case, our model is based on an actual game asset, which already has been textured. So we can use that as a reference. Now I'm going to open up a new menu by going down here in the left corner, and I'm just going to drag in a new window, and I'm going to open up this image of the Master Sword. Now you can just find one online. I googled Master Sword Wind Waker, and this is what I got. So that's the one I used. So over here we have our Master Sword image, and we can use this to create our texture. So if I tap back out of edit mode in here, you will see nothing's changed, and we still get one gray thing. And if I change the color here and I fill it, it still fills the entire thing. So that's not what we want. We only want to fill the parts that we actually selected in edit mode. Now there's this function up here called paint mask. And if we select that, it will create a paint mask. Now this might be faint and I doubt it's very easily readable for you guys on YouTube, but there's a difference in color now between the top and the bottom. If I click now, you will see it fills only the part that we actually selected in edit mode. So that's how you can easily create a paint mask based on certain faces. Now let's do this one more time to actually fill in the color of our gem. So I'm going to go tap back into edit mode, make sure we deselect everything here, and I'm going to circle select, so C, and then select all of the faces that belong to the actual gem, which are these, and voila, tap out of edit mode, and we can now see that this is the only part that's actually masked and we can actually draw on. Let's go ahead and use this eyedropper. So we click here, click on the eyedropper tool, and we can select any color in our image or on our screen basically. I'm going to select this yellow color and click there, and we now have our yellow gem color. For the paint bucket tool, you could also use S. Now if you look at the color selection, you will see it's changing. So it's now the blue color, it's the yellow color, it's the gray color, it's any color within this window. But if we hop on over to a new window, so for example our reference image, it doesn't work. If you want to use a color that's outside of this actual window, don't know why that is, but in this case we have to use the eyedropper, which is down here, and it does work. If you now press A and select everything, you will see this is our entire object. And with our fill colors out of the way, we can now start adding in details, shadows, highlights, and creating that realism and look that we actually want for our texture paint. Now I won't detail this entire object because it will take too long. I think for the final texture painting that I did, it took well over 2 hours, but I will just show you techniques on how to achieve the result as I had. What you do is you can just select a color here, and then use this slider on the right side to actually create a darker or a lighter value. So in this case, I have a darker value. Now, when doing texture painting, I recommend using a drawing or pen tablet. Now I'm using a Xencelabs tablet, which they've kindly sent me to test out. It's a very nice tablet and I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and it's perfect for doing texture painting, sculpting, and other things as well. Now I'm using the medium bundle. This includes the medium tablet with a true 16:9 aspect ratio, the quick keys keypad, which allows you to map 40 shortcuts per application and has an OLED display so you don't have to remember their functions, a pen case including a normal 3-button pen and a thin pen, replacement nibs, and a wireless dongle and adapter, 2 USB-C charging cables, a drawing glove, and finally a sturdy sleeve which can hold all of this. Use the link in the description down below to get a special Kaizen discount and support the channel at the same time. Alright, so I have a darker color selected. I'm thinking I need to turn down the strength a little bit, and let's go ahead and start adding in some shadows here. So I'm gonna just ever so slightly brush these in, maybe turn the strength a little bit down even more. And you can just draw these in wherever you want. And basically the secret is to just use many strokes for these details. Again, like I said, we can also just use mask. So I'm in edit mode now. I'm just going to select all of these faces in the middle here. And if we look at the image on this side here, it's slightly wider than the rest of it. So tap into edit mode again. Let's go to a lighter color. Again, don't change the actual value. Just use this dark and light slider to change the overall value. And we can now just sort of add in these highlights. Make it a little bit bigger. Set the strength a little bit higher. Let's make it lighter overall. Something like that will do. A little bit lighter still. And then go even lighter. Make it a little bit smaller. and just brush in a couple of these streaks, which sort of represent the light going across our metallic object. Yeah, that works fine. And maybe a dark one as well. Something like that works perfectly fine for me. Completely white at the top there. Maybe apply a little bit of shadow at this bottom part here. And there you have it. So if we now select everything again, this is our new look. Again, like I said, we can do this for every part. So tap back into edit mode, maybe select the guard, tap out of edit mode. We only have the guard selected now. Let's hit S, hover over it and release it. So we now get the blue color. Use the dark slider or light slider to actually get some contrast in there. And we can just brush in ever so slightly, shadows and stuff. And you want to add a lot of variation, so you can actually change the color a lot, you know, select a little bit darker colors, because you want this thing to look natural, and basically natural materials have a lot of variation in their color. Just go ahead and just draw in all of this detail that you want. And the final thing I want to show you before you can go ham creating whatever you want using this amazing texture painting feature in Blender is these stroke types. So if you open up the stroke menu, which is above the fall off menu, we have our stroke method set to space. There's several different things that you can actually do. We have dots as well, which creates a more dotty look. Let me go ahead and change the color so you can actually see a little bit better. It creates a more dotty look than the space one. We have the airbrush one, which gives a little bit of an airbrush look. Overall, I usually only use the default one and this line tool. And the line tool is actually very, very nice. So we can select this blue color. If you look at our texture on this side, you'll see we have these darker lines going across. Now you might be thinking, okay, so how can I achieve those similar lines? Well, with the line tool, you can just click, drag, and release to actually create a straight line from point to point. So we can use this technique and do something like this and sort of pair it like that, and create these lines going across our object. These are not completely nice. So in this case, you might want to go and take the soften tool there and just soften these up, make them look a little bit more natural. And voila, that's how texture painting works in Blender. Now, to get a good result, basically there's no magic tip. It's just practice, practice, practice. You need a lot of practice to get something that actually looks good. Look at lots of examples, look at stylized games, look at real world examples, because you can still apply all of these things like lighting, shadows, where should lights be, where should shadows be, what makes sense for my object. Look at lots of reference and you will eventually get really good at texture painting. But with all of these things that I showed you, you can at least get started on creating your own master sword texture. The project file for this video is available on my Patreon, so please consider becoming a patron to get access to this project file and over 50 other project files as well. I want to thank all of my patrons, which you can see up here right now, for their support. It is really appreciated and really helps me maintain this channel. And while you're still here, why don't you check out this video and learn even more about Blender.